real estate is very local, hyper-local. It's easy to generalize, but real estate's pretty darn specific. In our market, I just wanted to share that with our listeners because I think it's easy to get caught up in the hype and what it means and make decisions based on general information.
Only you know when it's the best time to buy a home based on your current situation. While it's true all across the country, real estate transactions are not where they were a year ago. Should that info have a one-size-fits-all effect on your family's best interests? In SLO County, transactions have cooled off, but prices haven't, and demand is still outpacing supply. In the October 2022 Market Report episode of the SLO County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Swayze, Hal, Jay, and James all discuss the importance of approaching your real estate information on a hyper-local, hyper-personal level. Here's your host, James Bueno.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another SLO County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Swayze. Mr. Swayze, how you doing, sir?
I am great, James. Thank you.
And with us, Mr. Pete. How are you?
I am super. Thanks for asking.
And man, JT, he's just so lucky right now, on vacation still, so unfortunately he won't be here.
Yeah, well, he's not traveling.
Yeah,
he's sick. Yeah,
gotcha.
He's recovering, though. He's on the way to recovery.
Yeah, well, I was just kind of keeping it quiet, saying he's on vacation. How? But you let the cat out of the bag.
It's public now.
It's public.
Yeah, everybody's going to send him flowers and chicken soup.
Okay, great. I like chicken soup. So it's the beginning of the month, Hal. We're beginning of October, so that means we are going to do our market update. But first, why did you decide to do a podcast and give out all the Hal Swayze info?
Because of my voice. Yeah, I got the face for.
So we're
radio.
Having a voice contest.
Yeah. You told me my voice is too deep.
Yeah.
Gosh, so we've been doing the video updates for 11 or 12 years, and people like that, and sometimes I provide information that's valuable, sometimes not. But overall, I think we've got about 11,000 subscribers. People are kind enough to say that they find value in what we present to them. And so, we're in a business where, we help someone buy or sell. It's transactional, and our job is to, give people good advice when it comes to their real estate. So whether they're needing help now or in the future, we just want to be that resource for them. We tell everybody we deal with, whether they're clients or not, hey, if you ever need a plumber or a handyman, or you need an attorney, need someone special, I love being able to tell people, oh my gosh, you need to go to this person. Because I'd like to be that person. Hey, if you need help with real estate, you got to call this Hal guy. He's been doing it a long time or whatever. We're here to provide value to the community that supports us. And we've been doing it a long time. So it's just nice to give back. I mean, you learn something. It's like, I played athletics, and then you coach, and sometimes it becomes almost more fun to coach, to see people go from one level to another, or something clicks and it makes them better. So if we can help make people's lives better in their real estate decisions, then we've done what we're here to set out to do, right? So, it's an investment of time and energy, but I like it, and we get good feedback, and as long as we can provide value, I think we'll still have listeners.
Somebody wants to see your videos that you put out monthly. How would they go about doing that?
Well, you're asking. I just talking.
Question.
You're talking to the stupid guy. No, I think you can go to YouTube and type in our name, right? Or you go to our website, halswayze.com, which is spelled funny.
I think I meant more of like, we send it out to our customer base, right?
Right.
So how can they get the email?
Call the office or send us an email and say, hey, add me to the list. And fortunately, not many people say, this knows we're going good, is take me off your list, right?
Yeah, the request list.
Yeah,
not the de-request list.
Yeah, de-request list.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, James, but thanks for asking. But yeah, for us, it just, we love to have a successful transaction. That's what we get paid to do. But we love to give people good advice about real estate, and we've learned enough to share things, and especially with a guy like Jay, who's been in the business forever and runs a large brokerage and has done 1031 exchanges. We want to share that with folks.
You know what I think is really important for the listeners to know is that how many transactions have you been involved in your tenure as a real estate professional?
3,000-ish.
Yeah. So the exposure to attorneys, CPAs, handymen, painters, contractors is probably more so than any other human I know in our community. That resource is invaluable.
Yeah.
And I think, it's so easy to think about a real estate salesperson or a broker associate to see them as a transactional person, and to hear the value proposition that you bring to the organization for yourself and for your clients and for your databases is really something special, because you've got that experience and exposure, and you lend more than just the transaction to the relationship.
Well, yeah, thank you. And a lot of that too is even like if people go, oh, hey, Hal, I want to sell a house in Santa Barbara or whatever, Portland. It's like, okay, well, I can't help you, but I know someone good who can. right? And we always feel good about that. I mean, it's like when you go to a great restaurant, you want to tell your friend, oh my gosh, you got to go check this place out.
Right. So, I just had a great idea.
What's that?
Why don't we put it out there? If somebody wants us to discuss a topic, let's accept that and then have you talk about it. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So anybody that's listening, if you want how to discuss a certain real estate topic, probably not all topics.
How do I improve my backhand?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
Hal is
Savant.
somewhat
You call that
of
a savant? Somebody's special
savant.
in one things, but other things are tougher. Is that something? Is that,
Yeah.
Is that wrong to say that out loud? Okay.
So if you would like Hal Swayze to discuss, and us, of course, to discuss a topic on our podcast, please send it to.
Don't ask me.
Let's do Hal at teamswayze.com.
Okay, the email address.
Yeah, your email. You can call, but it's probably easy. You can text our landline number, 805-781-3750. You can text it. Just say, hey, real estate topic.
Yep.
You can email us. Let's do that. I think it'd be kind of fun.
It's a great idea.
Send them if you have them. We would love to talk about them. Again, it's the beginning of the month. Let's do a market update.
Yeah. So we're seeing something we've seen for some time, and that's an increase in inventory, a reduction in the number of sales for sure. The big thing people talk about is prices. So I'm going to get into some fun specifics for those people that like numbers. So year over year, and again, context of time is always so important, but last September versus this September, we have 38% more homes for sale. So we had 248 last year in the county, roughly. Now we have 343. So there's 100 more houses. Sounds big. 38% was 100 more. Pending sales are down 38%. So last year 265, this year about 164. New listings coming on the market 133. So let's think this one through, because we're going to get to what people really want to hear about. 164 people went under contract, but 133 came back on the market. So that still means we have more demand than supply. So now I'm going to take a little tangent, because people talk about this all the time. They talk about the market. The market's up, the market's down, the market's crashing, it's going up, it's sideways. So what is the market? Well, there's lots of markets when we talk about real estate. The biggest one people get confused on is the volume of sales. The sales are down, oh my gosh, versus pricing. So, Jay, what's more important to homeowners? The number of homes that sell in a market or their price of their home?
Prices.
It's always the price. Yeah, it's like, oh, the stock market traded bajillion shares or 20 shares. Nobody cares. How much is my share worth?
Exactly.
So when we talk about the market, we can talk about the volume, which is down. Then we can go to prices. Year over year, they're up about 15%. Does that mean prices went up over last month? No, not really. It's about the same. In fact, for us in San Luis Obispo, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but nationwide prices have dropped and statewide. So for us, it hasn't hit us yet. It could, but right now we've been on pretty solid footing in terms of pricing. And the days on the market's up a little bit, like from 20 days to 30.
What's the percentage of the price drop nationwide? Did you get that by chance?
Again, it varies, but like the Price Schiller Index, they take like 20 cities. Do you know more about this? I mean,
you know what? I don't really pay attention to it because it doesn't really affect our market.
Yeah. So I read about it this morning, and one of the financials that was saying, first time in 11 years or something, the Price Schiller Index has gone down year over year. Might have been 0.5% or something, but it's still down. So what's happening here with prices? They've leveled off. So I would say that 15% year over year, most of it happened from September to January and January to March. And then after that, pretty level. Some people have gone up a little bit, some have gone down. There's the volume versus the pricing. There's national, which we just talked about, versus local. There's statewide, and then again, San Luis Obispo County. Then you go, okay, how about the market in the county? That's what we all want to know about. Well, are we talking in Sunset Palisades and Shell Beach, where there's nothing for sale, and we got 3 buyers that would buy there? Or are we talking in Santa Isabel Ranch in Templeton, where there are homes on acreage? We're talking about condos, we're talking about houses. What neighborhood, what price range? So my point is, real estate is very local, and it very hyper local. It's easy to generalize, but real estate's pretty darn specific. In our market, I just wanted to share that with our listeners because I think it's easy to get caught up in the hype and what it means and make decisions based on general information.
Where you get your information matters. There are algorithms pulling numbers that don't mean anything to your local hyper-local market.
Right.
So where you get your information matters. That's probably why you're listening, because Hal's going to give you some real numbers that are very localized.
Yeah. And then if you compare the numbers over time, a year ago is way different than a month ago. August, we had 153 new listings. In September, we only had 133. So now there's less homes coming on the market. So for the people that are very concerned about that currently, we're going to have a big glut of homes. Month over month, they're down. It ebbs and flows, but don't be caught up in, number of sales versus prices, and they vary, and it's very specific to each individual. So make your decisions individually, not based on what you see in a newspaper or on the internet.
When you say it's hyper localized, it goes down all the way to the neighborhood, right?
Absolutely.
Like if there's people out there just kicking tires, driving around, listening to a podcast, and it's your podcast, and know that you've done this for a very long time, and you probably have very good knowledge of every single neighborhood within all of San Luis Obispo County.
Well, yeah, and seeing the houses and seeing what people like. And I think we've talked about this in the past in terms of value, Jay, but, having done, the market shifted. So, and here's a fun little fact too. I looked these things up. So, in the beginning of the year, the National Association of Realtors was projecting 6.2 million sales this year, which was a drop from last year.
Yeah.
Right, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
6.7.
Something.
Yeah, something like that. So it came down, that's like, 10%? That's a big drop. Now they're projecting 4.7. That's a bigger drop.
Yeah.
Right? So there's your volume. There's what you're going to read about in the papers. Not as much activity. Yet, okay, if you own a stock, if I own Apple stock, do I care if trading of Apple shares is down 50% or 100% from last year, but my stock's still the same price? All right.
Yeah, not at all.
That's kind of the San Luis market, right? It's dropped.
Yeah,
okay, in terms of volume.
The values themselves have held stable.
We're not noticing a big change. Now, I talk to my friends in Santa Clarita that do a lot of business in Redding, and they go, oh yeah, March, if you had a sale in March, you can't compare it. Now, March was a much different market here as well, but we're just not seeing those changes as of yet.
Our market is, it's got a little bit of isolation because of where we are in the state of California, but I've seen in the past, like our area lag like the major metros, the Northern California, Southern California areas by 6 to 9 months. But so when we see dips in those areas, we can sometimes expect to see some. But when we see a dip, like last year we had 15% appreciation year over year. Now we're seeing 7%. We're back to a more normalized market. I mentioned something really unique, and people are talking about it industry wide, and that is, we're in the middle of a shift. Well, what does a shift mean? A shift doesn't mean that you go up and then you turn and the pendulum goes the other way and you're going down. What we've got is a breakneck appreciation ratio and properties flying off the shelf, and then it's just kind of flattened out. That is a shift. The meter went from red line to more of a healthy, stable rev.
It all depends on what your basis of comparison is, for sure. So what does it mean for the listeners? I just met with a nice past client today, and their kids are really excited to buy a home in San Diego. Could the prices go down in the next year? For sure. So I asked her a couple of questions, like any lender would, or a good agent would say, well, do they rent now? Yeah. What's their rent expense? How much does it cost them to live? Okay. Do they have good incomes? Yeah. Do they have stable jobs? Yeah. Do they like a certain area? Do they want to control their housing expense? Sure. Okay. So there could be a chance that they buy in San Diego now, and they really want to buy a house. And I don't know what else. Someone told me, oh, okay, well, this will probably get me a ton of bad reviews. But sometimes your home is gender specific. And here's how I mean that. Okay, my kids are going to kill me. I look at my house as kind of like a place to live, but an investment. And my spouse looks at it as a place to live in a lifestyle, and it's a home. We're all wired differently, but everybody has a different approach on what home ownership means. But from a real estate cut and dried kind of situation for this lady, I said, well, hey, if they've got good incomes and they get to write off, their interest on their home, they get to pay it down, they get to fix it up the way they want, then okay, yeah, I would consider being a buyer right now. Is it a good time to buy? Is that a specific question or general, Jay?
And in that situation, boy, heck, I would encourage my children to buy a house because it'll give them a level. So their home purchase today might not be their forever home, but it'll give them the lever up because they've got the appreciation over time.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, when I think of it, it's very, very specific to those kids. It's very, very specific to me if I were looking at a home, but I would do it just the same, even if I thought prices were higher today than they will be in a year from now, because in 5 years from now, they're going to be way higher than I purchased at.
Exactly.
Then I get to borrow, 80%, if not more, of the money to purchase the property. So I'm getting appreciation on someone else's money.
Yep.
That you can't get better than that. Try and buy a stock on margin.
Right.
You just can't do it. And there's margin call, and that just doesn't happen. I'm bullish on real estate as an investment. I kind of see it more the way you.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. But I do have a home. I have a home, and it's something that I've made, that my kids grew up in, and I really enjoy it. But when I go to the next place, I would not be able to afford my next place if I didn't have the $300,000-$400,000 in equity that was built into the house that I currently have.
Yeah. Real estate's a solid place. Our market is trending, shifting for sure. Prices haven't seen much of a change for our listeners.
Going back to you guys saying real estate is local. It's huge, because I listen to podcasts and watch market updates from different areas, and the message is so different. All right, hopefully people that are listening or paying attention to wherever they want to buy, they listen, they look at the facts for the location they want to go.
Yeah,
because we are different.
Well, and we talked about supply, and I don't think I talked about this. In 2018 or 17, I did one of my video things, and it was about all the new subdivisions going on. San Luis Ranch, Avila Ranch. I mean, there were like 2,000 homes they were building. We had not seen that at any time in 30 years. Like 2007, Centex built a handful of homes here and there. In San Luis proper, that was 3 years supply of sales at 600 sales a year. I mean, I was going, that'll be interesting. Well, now they haven't all been built, but even that didn't make a dent. It's like a non-issue. And then, you go and, I'm on the waiting list or whatever. So it's interesting how well we can absorb new construction, even though, there's lots of discussions about whether we can support it, in many different ways. So again, it's a area with not many homes. It's hard to get in, and it gets harder. So every time I talk to anybody, gosh, I'm sure glad I did it when I did it. And I'm sure glad I held on to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear the same thing. I never hear anybody say, boy, I'm really glad I sold that piece of real estate. I always hear the opposite.
Yeah.
Damn, I wish I'd never sold that.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about for our October update?
No. Yep. It'd be great if people send in questions. Right?
Yes.
If you have a question, you need, whatever those lists are, we have our own lists, and we kind of jokingly say, and Jeff, you thought it would be silly for us to let people call us, but we do it. We want to be at the local Google. Right? I'm searching for something. Okay, what do you like? I mean, we all enjoy going, go here, do this, see that person. That's the fun part of the business.
Outside of the algorithms that they could.
Yeah. Well, what's the name of the podcast? This one.
Ours?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Slow County Real Estate with House Swayze?
That says it all right there.
Right, yeah.
I mean, real estate is hyper local.
Gotcha.
And
I thought you were testing me. Sorry.
No.
I thought it was SLOW because we're a little bit on the slow side.
Hal's a little slow.
Thank you.
Mid-afternoon, everybody's a little...
Takes us time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Guys, fun podcast today. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next week.
We'll be there.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the House Swayze podcast. Be sure to subscribe and rate this podcast. It comes out every Monday, so check for it in your feed for the latest information on the San Luis Obispo County market. The Slow County Real Estate with House Swayze podcast is available wherever you get your podcast and on houseswayze.com, where you can find current listings and other real estate tips. Houseswayze.com, that's HALSWEASEY.com. I am James Bueno, Director of Marketing for the House Swayze Group. If you're looking for anything real estate, give us a call, 805-781-3750.
Al Swayze is a licensed California real estate broker. DRE number 01111-911. The Slow County Real Estate with Hal Swayze podcast is a production of AGM Podcasts. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.